Welcome to Marketing for Book Coaches, the podcast where we explore marketing techniques that will set your book coaching business apart. I'm Anne, your host and a business coach who helps bold book coaches build thriving businesses. In today's episode, we'll be exploring a surprising marketing technique using Airbnb Experiences to promote a mastermind. My guest today has used this approach successfully, and while she's not in the book industry, there are some creative takeaways for book coaches looking to build and promote similar programs through Airbnb. It is even more so because nowadays there are not many book coaches on Airbnb Experiences, so keep an eye out on that one that can maybe make the difference in your business. Now, to talk about this topic, we are joined by an expert in energy coaching and business alignment. She's known for helping entrepreneurs create sustainable success by aligning their energy with their business strategy. She has built multiple businesses, including a successful wellness-focused restaurant, and now guides others in finding balance and purpose in their work. Let's get ready for a thought-provoking discussion with Elika Tasker. Hi, Elika.
Hey, Anne, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting, because you are the very, very first Singaporean-based guest I have on the podcast. So I'm very, very happy that I can also put the spotlight on a Singaporean-based female entrepreneur, because we don't see a lot of us out there in the world. So let this be a first step. So before we talk about Airbnb, could you tell me about your mastermind in a couple of words? What problem does it solve?
Yeah, so the mastermind is to focus on purpose-driven women who want to create a big impact in the world and want to create more harmony personally and professionally. So what we explore is any area, personally or professionally, that's taking energy away from them. I call these my energy leaks. And the mastermind is to create a structured, systematic, in a way, support to be able for them to all share, all receive, and to get clarity on exactly what actions they need to take in order to not experience that energy leak.
I love that idea because it is something that as a book coach, many of us do as well. When they have these offers, it's like you say, have that systematic approach. In your case, so that women know how to handle the energy, but in the book coach's case, it will be to help writers write their book.
Yes.
So let's get into the unique part right away. How did Airbnb become part of your marketing strategy?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I love is bringing a diverse group of people together, because the ideas, the insights, the sharing, the experiences just really create a rich tapestry for us to kind of grow. And so obviously I reach out to my network, and I have my own mailing list, and people can come from different ways that they can access me. But I wanted to also expand outside of just people that are based in Singapore. And that's because Singapore is such a tiny little island. It's like a village. It's the length of a marathon. So it's this tiny island that's very international, very well known. But when you're here, as you know, you realize that it's like half a degree of separation. They talk about 2 degrees of separation. It's half a degree.
Half a degree of separation. Yes, indeed, that's it. That's
right. So what I was finding was that and also somebody that also wants to challenge and grow myself all the time. I wanted to bring in that international element to it with different views, and Airbnb just it was something that I had used when I was traveling, and been given access to lots of different people and experiences, and I wanted to widen that reach, and I just thought, where can I widen the reach? And Airbnb came up. So it really just allowed me to get access to a pool of people that might not ordinarily know about the mastermind, or I wouldn't ordinarily know about them.
And how does that so has it really allowed you that different audience? Like in your mastermind, how many foreigners, for example, or people who are passing by would show for your mastermind?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, we cap the mastermind in a small group because I really value deep, meaningful connections. So I've always set up this part of my business to actually focus on small experiences, small group experiences. So we cap at 8. And so you can get 1 to 2 people from Airbnb in that group. And yeah, and then they come out. So I think about the last one that we hosted, and we had a lady that was visiting from Germany, and she was going through a really extreme time with her boss. She worked in a very male orientated environment, so she'd taken some travel time to just kind of like, you know, get some peace in her life. And I suppose when I think back at it, she was probably really attracted to the fact that it was a women's mastermind, that she probably wanted to be around that feminine energy, you know. And she shared the struggle that she was having working in this very male-dominated environment, and just being seen, being present, being heard, and how to get that communication style right. And we were able to just really support her through all the different layers of, you know, self-worth. You know, recognizing, is this the right environment for her, knowing when to stop, and all the layers that came with her challenge. And I think because none of us knew the company, we didn't know, I mean, culturally, she was talking about a specific type of culture as well in Germany. And then she was talking about things that we could relate to in the male and female dynamics. And it was just really beautiful to bring a different element to her, because especially culturally, you know, those that were based in Singapore then, even though, you know, a lot of the people that come to the mastermind are from different countries, they were able to really understand that what she was saying isn't very typical of a Singapore environment, a Singapore working environment, because it just wouldn't be able to play out like that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about having 1 or 2 people in your mastermind of normally 8 people.
Yes.
Do you think that will get bigger, or do you see Airbnb more as a complementary method of promoting your mastermind in opposition, for example, your main marketing channels, which are LinkedIn and Instagram?
I see it, to be honest, as a complementary. I don't see it taking over the numbers, and that's mainly just because, you know, I've been running the women's mastermind for about 3 years now, so we have consistency in those that come back. They don't come back the same every month, but they might miss a couple of months and then come back when they've got a new challenge. So of course, when those women that have been before are ready to come back, they just book as soon as it's open. Also, we have a WhatsApp group that we've created for the Women's Mastermind. So we're always sharing what's happening in between the mastermind in that WhatsApp group. So that gives opportunity for people to invite others, and also to remember that the mastermind exists. So because there's that continuous marketing that's happening and that awareness of it already, then Airbnb just plugs into that and then creates maybe, I could see that it could create maybe a quarter to maybe a third of the total numbers, but it's definitely plugging into something that's already established.
That's already established. Yeah, I love the part that you say about the awareness. So because you said that you went on Airbnb Experiences because you wanted to add a diverse group of people who might not know about you.
Yes.
But there are many Airbnb experiences out there. So how do you make sure that you are the one top of mind and not another experience?
Yes. Well, to me, it's really about knowing what is the pain point of your customer that you are trying to resolve. And so for me, I know that the community that I'm supporting are people that are passionate about personal and professional growth. And so they don't just let go of those when they travel. You know, when I travel, I know that, you know, the hotels that I stay in, I want them to have a gym. I want to be surrounded by nature. So because that's my lifestyle. So when I think about these women, when they're traveling, there's a part of them that is switching off from potentially what they're, and again, it depends on what they're traveling for. It could be traveling for work or holiday, but switching off from their home environment. But still there's a part of them that seeks that personal and professional growth. So as you can imagine, when they go on something like Airbnb and they see all the different types of experiences, what experiences are out there that offer personal and professional growth as you travel? Well, there's the obvious is cooking classes, you know, and there's things around that, like, you know, some art making things. But this one is really tapping into the mind of somebody, that the mind that really wants to grow and expand. And so, you know, when I create the advert, it really highlights that, you know, and very specific. I do ask you, do you have a challenge that you face in your life? And so the language that I'm using in the advert, it's really standing out. And of course, you know, there's imagery that shows women coming together. So this is just really about me understanding who it is that I am trying to serve and what it is that their pain point, and then highlighting that. So for me in Airbnb, that what I'm offering is very unique.
Yeah, I am taking notes because there's so many things that come out, Elika, in what you say.
Yeah.
Because I love the idea how you really are very deliberate in how you put your ad. It is,
Yes.
And that applies not just to Airbnb Experiences, but it applies to any marketing out there, right? It is really like who I'm talking to, what is the problem that
trying to solve.
I'm solving. Have you seen that the like elements of your Airbnb ad that are more effective than others, that you would say, okay, if you're book coach and you want to put a similar experience on Airbnb, really think about that aspect or that aspect?
Look, I think, you know, being honest, what's really important in Airbnb is imagery, because as people scan through multiple experiences, they don't read first, they scan with their eyes. So I think really, you know, and this is the brilliance of AI, right? But really think about, especially if you're new to creating this experience, what is the image that they need to see that represents that experience?
Oh, I love that. So, because for you, I remember I will put the ad to for the Airbnb Experience ad in the description of the podcast. So we will talk about it. If you want to see it, just click on the link and then you see it. Because it's very right. When I went on Airbnb Experiences Singapore, it stands out. Your ad stands out because we have that picture of you with the woman around around the group. So you would say that that first element is really imaginary. Then the second one is who I'm talking to in the
So there's an imagery, and then there's the first sentence, which I think has to encapsulate something that draws people in. So, you know, I always like, you know, to start off with a bold statement or a question and that invites some engagement. And so again, thinking about when it comes to book coaches, what would be that open question that you need to ask? And it can be simple, like, you know, what do you enjoy reading? You know, what was the best book that changed your life? You know, it can be anything, but you think about your unique selling point as well. And then what is the person that you're trying to reach out to in that? And then obviously from there, you go into what they can expect from the experience and what they would receive.
I love this. This is, because it's like any post that you write, like you say, you have to start with that first question, then catch your audience. But it's also really important to know that on Airbnb Experiences, that imagery is actually the first thing that you have to put on there.
So we take it to how, like, you know, we obviously have our different social media channels. We had Facebook, which used to be, you know, predominantly words and then a small image. We had Instagram, which was always encapsulating the image first. And, you know, we have LinkedIn, which, you know, is more word. And so, you know, I look at Airbnb more like the Instagram.
Okay. That's a good comparison. And talking about Instagram, have you used Instagram or any other social media to drive traffic to that Airbnb?
Yes, I do. So what I've done is I've created a website, which, to be honest, that website was designed for any events that we organize, but it predominantly just hosts the Women's Mastermind. So I've got a website with a link to purchase your place in the Women's Mastermind. And then we have an Instagram page that posts, and we post multiple things. We post when the event is coming, but we also promote takeaways from the event. So when people have been, we ask them at the end of the experience, what was their takeaway? And that takeaway gets shared as part of our Instagram posts around that event. So
I love that idea. So you have that Airbnb experience, and even though it's not, for example, like this where it's recorded and you can reuse the content, but you still pull out things out of the masterclass so that you can promote on your other social media and then attract again that audience to your Airbnb.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're creating a really holistic approach in the marketing, right? So you can think about the fact that you are going to promote it, let's say, in multiple social medias that you feel relevant. So for me, this one's most relevant to Instagram, with the imagery and the details of the mastermind and the link to sign up. And then that link goes to the website, and the website showcases a fuller detailed breakdown of what to expect from the mastermind, and then the payment option. But then Airbnb also offers that detailed breakdown with the imagery and their own payment option link. And of course, when people come through multiple avenues, you can collect their details, their email address, and so now they can receive information on future masterminds.
I love that idea. That's why I'm really very grateful that you came on, because it took me a while to find someone who was willing to talk about Airbnb experiences. So thank you so much again.
No problem.
I feel this is one of those hidden marketing techniques that, again, as a book coach, you could use, because now at this point, Airbnb Experience, there's not many book coaches out there. So then book coaches, this is one you can use. You said something about people who come back all the time. So what kind of client interactions do you have before, during, or after the Airbnb experiences that help build those relationships and get clients come back or go to other offers?
So the main one is that the mastermind is supported by a WhatsApp group. So obviously the marketing that happens before we just talked about, so it's on Instagram, there's a website, there's Airbnb, there's word of mouth when I'm talking to people, there's clients that I'm working with one-on-one that, of course, I say to them, you come to the women's mastermind. There's referrals from people that have been to the mastermind. But then when they come to the mastermind, so obviously we start the mastermind with explaining what to expect from the experience. Obviously it's been written out in wherever they've come to us, but we explain it again at the beginning. And then we go through the experience, and then we ask for a takeaway. So at the end of the mastermind, what we do is we add them to a WhatsApp group that's already existing from previous people that have been to the mastermind. And in the mastermind itself, at the end, we ask them for their takeaway. And that takeaway, as you know, then gets used in Instagram, in all the marketing. It can go on Airbnb as part of, what people have said of their experience. Obviously, you can share the Airbnb. If somebody has come through Airbnb, you then share the Airbnb review link to them so they can post a review on it on Airbnb. And then, so everybody's now in this WhatsApp group. So the takeaways are all shared in the WhatsApp group. And so what happens also then is that people that didn't come to that mastermind, can you imagine when they see 8 women's takeaways of this experience that they had and what they took away from it, and they're experiencing a challenge in their life. And for example, they said, oh, we couldn't come this month, or whatever reason, maybe they forgot, they didn't know about it, or what, all the things that happens in life. And now they're receiving these 8 brilliant takeaways that somebody experienced that had a challenge in their life. This is the beautiful thing, we all will relate to a woman's challenge. We always say in the mastermind, don't feel afraid to share anything, because even if it's not for you, it'll be for somebody that's in the group. And so that's what's happening in the WhatsApp group. And so of course then people go, oh, I'm going to come next month, or people go, oh, I'm coming next month, I'm going to book next month. And so you'll see that start to happen.
And do you see, for example, I'm thinking about the German woman, do you see people who came, for example, last year, and they're traveling again, they're coming back, or those international clients, like just one, maybe twice, and that's it?
What we've had referrals. So I've not had yet come back from international travel. Maybe that's because I haven't necessarily had more people that work here. I think if they were working, like let's say if they're working internationally and they had to regularly come to Singapore, then they would probably come. I mean, obviously the dates would have to be right, because I do mine the first Thursday of every month. Which is something in that I'll share with you. But no, but I've had a referral of someone that's come because somebody else came. And I think it's worth just adding that another thing that we do in the marketing is I think it's important to have that date. So we have the first Thursday of every month. And that just helps people, we've got busy lives. It helps people to remember, even if I can't make it, it's always that, that first Thursday every month. So that repetition, I think, staying in the mind is really helpful, as opposed to changing the date and seeing, oh, when can I do it this month? And you know what I mean? So that's going to help. That helps with that repeat that repetition in the mind helps with people coming back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have the same. I have a business clinic where book coaches can drop by to ask any question they have about their business, and having it every third Thursday of the month really helps, because then people keep it in mind. They're like, oh, it's coming up soon.
That's it.
Need to make sure that I'm there. Yeah.
And one other thing is, I'm really big on making automations in my business. So, you know, when I left the corporate world and I ran a restaurant, I learned in a restaurant, you have to have an SOP, a standing operating procedure for everything. You know, you should see the standing operating procedure for making a coffee, you know, because fresh coffee has to be with the customer within 3 minutes, and the steps for that to happen consistently, you know. So I learned the importance of processes. And with my coaching business, and when I moved from a traditional coaching model one-on-one to a concierge service, you had to have lots of automation so that my team don't necessarily need me, and I can just focus on me and the client, and everything else is automated. So when it comes to marketing, we know about these sales funnels, and we build them, and we have people coming in at the top, and multiple avenues to come in the top, and then we come down, and you know, we go from the awareness, the education, to converting them into a sale. But with the women's mastermind, I see that as, you know, a funnel within a funnel as well. So obviously it's a funnel within my bigger business, my health concierge, my coaching and lifestyle support. This is a funnel. This is a part of that. But I make sure that when somebody books, from the moment they book, of course, then we receive some form of confirmation. So that then goes to my team, depending on which avenue it comes from. If it comes into my personal inbox, then it still gets forwarded to my team. Then from that stage, then they then get a round of messages. So in the same way you might get for your newsletter, you might get these introductory emails that are telling you a bit about the person. They do get a, you know, we're glad that you've booked message. Then closer to the time. So if it's on a Thursday, on the Saturday or Sunday before, they will get a message to say, these are the details. So we do leave that one right to the last minute, because also I'm running it from my home. So I don't necessarily give out my personal address to the last minute. So then they get that, and it's the details of my address, where to come around. And then they get the reminder one, which is the day before message. And that day before message is, we're looking forward to tomorrow, reminder of that. So there is that automation as well leading up to it. We just think with busy lives, it is important to send those reminders and keep engaged with people all the way up to it.
Yeah, I was going to say absolutely. Automation is one of those things. Lifesaver. So
Yes.
If you don't want to work with a 10-person team, you just go for your automations.
That's it.
Thank you. That's such a great reminder. So we had that first idea where it's creating the awareness. That's before.
Yeah.
And that you do through Instagram, Airbnb, word of mouth, referrals.
Yes.
Then the person comes to the mastermind. You reminded us about the automation as well, the emails and anything.
Yeah.
They get into the WhatsApp, and then what happens after? Are they people that do you continue marketing them so that they can sign up for your more extensive programs, for example?
Yeah. So in the mastermind, if I think about, I'll just share what I can see in the mastermind and WhatsApp now. So when I think about the mastermind WhatsApp, there are things that have come up that are just related to personal and professional growth. So when I look at this week, so one of the things that the women are sharing about is, so Chinese New Year's just ended here. So that's our equivalent of Christmas. It's huge. And the Lunar New Year is a really big deal. So it represents this whole new season, an actual real energetic start to the year, as opposed to January, where you're like, oh my God, I've got to get started, but I don't really have the energy to do so.
I know. That's why I love celebrate. We celebrate very deeply Lunar New Year as well, because I feel like, we have the whole extravaganza of Christmas, and now we get to the real deal, the real New Year.
Yeah, that's it. So of course, there's going on in the chat. There's lots of shares around Lunar New Year started, blah blah blah. Then, you know, some of the ladies are talking about Aquarius season. So if you're into a little bit about horoscopes, they're talking about, you know, it's the age of Aquarius. For the last 14 years, we've been in a completely different zone, and now we're entering the age of Aquarius. And so right now, this is for Aquarians, their month. And so we're talking about what that represents, because that represents about being more humanitarian, more visionary. And so they're sharing about who's an Aquarian. I'm an Aquarian. So I could see that conversation happening. So I put a link in about horoscopes, so that people that were in the group, if they don't know about horoscope, what that means. So I gave that. And then every Friday we have a post, and it's done by a girl in my team, and she just puts it's an image and it says, what are you celebrating? And then the words say, hey ladies, let's end the week on a high note, share something unexpected or surprising that brought you joy this week. Your story could even inspire somebody else. And then they share, they share what's come up. Not everybody shares, but some do. So there's the celebration that happens once a week to keep that engagement. But you could put into that chat whatever you wanted, right? You could put your book of the week, book of the month, you know.
Writing tip. I think most of the book coaches, they would say writing tip. I'm absolutely very, very surprised that we had the conversation on the WhatsApp, because I didn't realize that you brought it to WhatsApp, build up that community, and that it actually brings people to your one-to-one offers. Because I'm thinking, as a book coach, this is amazing. You can have someone who comes on a trip who might be been thinking writing, I don't know, a memoir, or is finishing their PhD or anything like this. They come to a similar mastermind, you put them on the WhatsApp, you continue delivering that value, and then little by little you have people that can get into your writing programs. And it really works even if the person is not living in the country you are in.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, you know, like for me with the health and wellness, this is my lifestyle. So every day I'm reading, consuming information that's related to health, whether it be a new product that's come out on the market that I'm like, oh God, this is a good clean plant-based milk, to a podcast. And so you just share that, you know, just share the things that are relevant in there. And you know, I tend to look at my business very holistic. So I see it as an extension of me. And so everything that I'm living, that's why it's so easy for me to run a concierge service, because everything that I'm living is what I'm sharing with my clients. And so I'm always staying on top of these things for me. And therefore, when I find a new thing, I know they're going to need it. And so, you know, that's how then brands, you know, my mastermind is now sponsored for some of the food that we offer. So I have a meat sponsor. And they offer me the grass-fed beef and the hormone-free chicken and the organic meats that I want. And so when I'm creating a meal for the mastermind, that's because I've now got sponsored with the meat, and that's because of that healthy lifestyle. So then that promo code for that company, I'll share that in the women's mastermind chat.
Elika, I feel like my brain is going mad, because I'm like, oh my God, I should have invited you for the WhatsApp and then the affiliate marketing, because this is just a great idea. Like, if you are a book coach, I am thinking about you. You could, for example, get into cooperation with a library or a bookshop. Like,
beautiful example.
I love this, Elika. There's so many. And really, thank you again of like sharing so much of your experience.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end. I would love to continue talking, because I'm like, again, my mind is going crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I should have invited you for WhatsApp, because it is one of those strategies that is used a lot here in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
But not many people know how to start or how to get away with it. So I love,
Yes.
Thank you so much again, Elika.
No problem.
So maybe we can have a little bit of the technical stuff. So how did you get selected to go on Airbnb Experiences? How did the process go with Airbnb?
Yeah, I mean, really, I suppose their selection is quite automated. So when you go on Airbnb, and remember, we can now, I didn't use it when I started, but we can now use AI to craft our descriptions. You know, you can tell AI, please make this description suitable for an Airbnb experience, and it can think about how it crafts what you want to say to that. So when you put your things on Airbnb, Airbnb will have its own automation that means that you get a score. For example, if your picture that you post is not clear, it will get rejected. If your description is not the right length, it will get rejected. So as you're creating your experience, it's very user-friendly, but as you're creating your experience, it will prompt you for what it needs: image, words here, sentence, you know, and it's really good, the prompts. So you just follow the prompts. If anything isn't to their standard, it will get rejected. So assuming that you follow that to their standard, and then it will be live, and then you will get notifications. You'll get notifications, for example, when someone books. You'll get notifications when it's expiring. So so you just, it's very simple, very automated.
Yeah, because I thought it was more complicated than that in the sense of like you had to go through a whole process that they might say, okay, the experience is not what we want, but you did go through that. You didn't have the impression that it was.
No. Yeah.
Hey, book coaches, where are you? Because
Yeah.
before they were book coaches on there, so where are they now? This is such
Yeah, I definitely haven't seen them, and I think offering something unique like that, and it's so beautiful because it's unique but yet very relatable, right? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because it reminds me of what you said earlier. Like most people, they want to travel, they want to do something else, and you have all these other experiences of like learn the local kitchen and the whole on thing. But this can also be the moment just to sit down and say, okay, what I'm going to do with this book. It has been in my mind for like 20 years. Is this the moment it's getting out or not?
Yes. Yeah,
and
have
then
your
we can
love moment.
exactly, and then we can come to your mastermind, Elika.
There you
to
go.
have a whole conversation of like, I'm stuck in my book. What the hell do I do?
Yeah.
One very last question.
Yeah.
If you could start over, what do you do? What would you do differently to improve how you attract clients through Airbnb?
I think I would have just started with the better images when I started. I didn't really pay enough attention to the power of a powerful image. You know, it really is. It really is so much.
That I think that is one thing to really keep in mind. The imagery is so important on Airbnb.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Elika. I cannot thank you enough for coming up, accepting, and also having shared your experience. Like you're not a book coach, but you really still wanted to give us that experience. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Where can people learn more about what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on all the social media platforms. I hang out on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So whichever one suits you.
I will all put, all those links will be in the description. So if you want to meet Elika, especially the mastermind, if you are in Singapore, please come to the mastermind. Let me know, and I will meet you there. Because I feel like Elika Mastermind is such a great experience for anyone who is in Singapore. On top of discovering our beautiful country. So today's episode was about Airbnb. I'm going to just remind you of a couple of key guidelines that Elika gave us. First of all, it's not complicated to get on Airbnb Experiences. Just follow the leads. Secondly, when you put your ad, think about the image, most important aspect here, because we want to catch the attention of everyone when they pass by. That first sentence with your open question and what makes you different as a book coach. And then the third part is what exactly is your mastermind or any other offer you're offering about. If today's conversation got you thinking about new ways to market and grow your business, you don't want to miss out on my group coaching program for book coaches, which starts April 15, 2025. It's a 12-week program designed to help you build a profitable, balanced book coaching business with my personal support. You can find more details in the podcast description. Make sure to check it out and join the newsletter to stay updated. And let's wrap on today's episode. The big takeaway: thinking outside the box when it comes to marketing can open unexpected doors, even Airbnb-sized ones. Whether you're running a mastermind or any other offer, visibility is key, and sometimes the best marketing happens in places you wouldn't expect. Elika, thank you again so much.
No problem. Thank you, and you take the best of care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.